Thank you very much, Mr. Dilip Chenoy. My good friend and president of FICCI, Mr. Uday Shankar, the co-chairman, FICCI Committee on Transport Infrastructure, Mr. Sandeep Selot, the co-chairman, FICCI Committee on Transport Infrastructure, Mr. Shailesh Pathak, Mr. Jagan Narayan Padma from CRISIL, all the other distinguished friends on the call, ladies and gentlemen. Today is the 156th birth anniversary of Lala Lajpat Rai, somebody who martyred his life for this country. I'd like to begin by paying my tributes to him and recalling a small quote that Lala Lajpat Rai had said many years ago, and I quote, "Have faith in yourself first. You can become successful by your own efforts because a nation will be built by your power only." Truly reflecting the spirit of an Atmanirbhar Bharat, a self-reliant India, an India powered by the dreams and efforts of 1.35 billion people, an India which is sculpted by all of you distinguished ladies and gentlemen, well-meaning experts in your own domains, an India that is driven to excellence with the collective spirit of all of us, an India that engages with the rest of the world with confidence, with commitment, and with an unflinching desire to serve the nation, make India a better place to live in, a better place to do business in, and ensure the well-being of every single citizen, ensuring that the last man at the bottom of the pyramid also has a better future for his family, for the generations ahead of us. I must thank FICCI for your relentless pursuit of these objectives. You have always been a partner with the government and more so with me personally in all our efforts to bring about change, to transform the way things are done in India, and more importantly, to change the mindset both of government institutions and businesses across India. I'm delighted that we are once again meeting on the third edition of the Smart Railways Conclave. The future of rail transport, I can assure you, is bright. And I say it is bright because you are a part of that future. I say it is bright because you take the pains and the efforts to come out with a comprehensive document helping navigate the Indian railway story to keep it in sync with contemporary times and ensure that we have a futuristic vision when it comes to preparing the Indian railways. Of course, we all want the railways to be a smart organization. We all want the railways to serve the people of India smartly. We want the railways to be safe and service oriented. We want the railways to be modern. We want the railways to be agile. We want the railways to be a reliable part of the economy. We want the railways to be technology driven. And thus every element of smart, whether it's safety and service orientation, whether it's modernism and being contemporary, whether it's agility to be all the time up to the mark, keeping yourself in sync with what's happening in the rest of the world, what could be done better, ensuring that it's a reliable entity. High reliability will include our engagement with the stakeholders, predictability in our policies, our engagement with our own employees for that matter. And of course, technology will be that overarching support system which will ensure that Indian Railways works to a plan for a better future for logistics and transport, both of passengers and goods in our country. Smart is not something very phenomenally different from some of the very small things that we do in our life. Very often it's the simple matters, very, very common logical things that actually reflect smartness. A simple thing which I was struggling with for a long time is the persistent demand. When will railways be able to provide seats on demand? When will we be rid of wait lists? Used to be a constant struggle in Parliament, outside Parliament, in our own internal meetings. Officials would say we don't have enough paths to add more trains. We would complain about lack of adequate infrastructure developed over the years. And then we went down to the basics. We said, okay, let's declog our mind from the past and think smartly. And you won't believe, some of the simple things gave us smart solutions to find a way out of the problem. I remember when COVID came in and the country was in lockdown, immediate reaction was, oh my God, this is going to kill the railways. Passenger traffic was zero. We were moving freight trains, but obviously much curtailed. We had a 70 million shortfall in the first 4 months of this year. Nearly impossible to make up from any logical thinking. Losses were mounting. But then we were also wanting to prepare ourselves for the long term. So what was the smart thing to do? And I can list out many of the things we did during COVID. But let me highlight 2 or 3 things. And I must share, this particular issue that I'm going to share with you came out of an early morning call that the Honorable Prime Minister made to me very early on in the lockdown, somewhere around the last week of March, and said, तुम्हारे यहाँ तो बहुत सारे काम ऐसे होंगे ना जो बहुत सालों से हो नहीं पा रहे होंगे क्योंकि आपको ट्रैफिक ब्लॉक नहीं मिलता है। मैं सब परेशान हो गए। इतने काम है जिसको जरूरी है करना, सेफ्टी के लिए परमानेंट स्पीड रिस्ट्रिक्शंस हटाने हैं, पर हमें 2 दिन 3 दिन का ट्रैफिक ब्लॉक चाहिए, मिलता नहीं है। तो सर अभी तो है ना तुम्हारे पास। I said, पर साहब फ्रेट ट्रेन्स तो चल रही हैं। He said, फ्रेट ट्रेन्स 2 दिन एक रूट में नहीं चलेंगी तो कयामत तो नहीं आएगी। कोयला पहुंचा हुआ है प्लांट्स के पास, फूड ग्रेन्स बड़ी मात्रा में आपने पहुंचा दिए हैं, आगे पहुंचाते रहोगे। फर्टिलाइजर की इमीडिएट डिमांड किधर ज्यादा नहीं है। तो why don't you finish all these long pending infrastructure projects? And you'll be happy to know we were able to complete nearly 200 long pending infrastructure works, which for years and decades we could not do because the trains never stopped. The last time the train stopped was in the strike of George Fernandez before or just during the emergency, just before the emergency. And these 200 bottlenecks, if I may call them, helped us in planning our railways better for the future, helped us in removing a lot of restrictions on the railways. And I'm delighted to share with you the collective effort And very often we have had engagements with FICCI and all of you in different fora where I've shared various policy initiatives, various initiatives to plan our freight systems better. I'm delighted to share with you we are at twice the speed that we were 1 year ago. Twice the speed on our freight trains. A cargo moving from Mumbai to Guwahati moves in 2.5 days today rather than a week earlier. A cargo train from Delhi to Kolkata will reach in barely 1.5 days, less than 2 days, against 4 or 5 days earlier. But it was the collective effort of industry and the railways, coupled with that confidence that we can do it, with the power of intelligent thinking, with a deep desire to serve the nation better, that we were able to achieve it. Now freight trains are a part of a new timetable that will be coming out. It will be a zero-based timetable. You'll be shocked. But over decades, we have just been having incremental changes to our timetable. Simple thing like a timetable, which I started almost 2.5 years back, talking about a zero-based timetable based on some learnings of my own 35 years ago when a chief planning officer of Western Railway, Narendra Kishore, I think his name was, had come to meet my father some 35 odd years ago and said that, in Indian Railways, we don't change. So the steam engine required a stoppage in Ratlam or in Kota to load coal. So we had a half-an-hour stoppage. And we still continue to have it, having moved from steam to diesel to electric, because the timetable is incremental. If any of you goes to the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj terminus in Mumbai, you will find a train which used to take a particular number of hours from Mumbai to Lahore 100 years ago, takes more time to go from Mumbai to Amritsar until last year. Small things, nothing very great, frankly nothing very smart also. But I believe this is what Smart Railways is all about. Of course, not to say that we haven't done many other bigger, smarter things. Maintenance. We were still living in a day and age where wheels of our trains were literally manually measured and visually seen to check that they are proper and not prone to an accident. We have now taken up 40 smart yards for predictive maintenance. And of course, the plan is to make all our maintenance yards fully mechanized with modern equipment so that we can ensure the safety and security of all our trains, our passengers. Of course, we are now in the 23rd month in which we've not had a single death of any passenger due to a train accident. But that's something which I say with a lot of caution and don't wish to talk too much about it. I pray to God that all these efforts that my 1.2 million plus railway family is making to provide a safe journey and safe movement of goods to our countrymen and our country businesses will continue to be successful in the same measure. And so many things. I was talking about the wait list. We realized that wait list is not all over the country. It's on certain routes. All we needed to do was start more trains, like clone trains. So I know that Mumbai to Gorakhpur, there's a permanent wait list. So ahead of the current train, I've started another train ahead of it, which will have 3 or 4 technical stoppages and in a fast short span of time, take you to Gorakhpur. Believe me, wherever we've been able to start these clone trains, waiting lists have been eliminated. Of course, a zero wait list is not a very good situation, as any of you in business will appreciate. We do need a certain small amount of wait list to ensure that we have full occupancy and full capacity utilization. So the smart thing to do is keep monitoring your wait list. And there will be a cusp when it'll justify to have a clone train. It need not be 100% wait list, because once you have a clone train, you'll have additional passengers coming in. These are things that CRISIL or Mr. Pathak or Uday, you in business, whenever you planned all your multifarious businesses, have all the time been doing. Under Prime Minister Modi's vision for the Indian Railways, today we are looking at the railways in that sense, in that spirit of serving our customer, who is our king, who is our very reason to be, and ensuring a satisfactory experience, a good experience. There are so many things that I can share with you about how small things have made a difference. You know, we had diesel and electric. There was an effort to do electrification gradually. In the year 2013-14, some 650 odd kilometers were electrified. At that rate, we would have electrified the entire Indian railways in another 40 years or 35 years. What did Prime Minister Modi say? He said, look, there's a whole ecosystem of diesel and a whole ecosystem of electric. And I was not even the railway minister at that point of time. This process started much before me. And you'll be amazed at the cost saving that we are seeing before us by eliminating the entire diesel ecosystem. There was a lot of campaign that why do you want to electrify routes which have only 1 or 2 trains. We actually worked out on paper. There's 1 or 2 trains in a day. It justifies to electrify it. Maybe the payback period would be longer, slightly longer. But at the macro level, you are eliminating the entire diesel ecosystem from the railways. Can you imagine, as a business person or business association, what that means in terms of cost control? Apart from the fact that we'll save about 13,000-14,000 crores in our cost of buying diesel, we'll save precious foreign exchange, we'll improve the ecosystem. We have hundreds of trains coming to Delhi every day. You know the situation of pollution in Delhi. We are gradually going to zero. No train will come into Delhi without electric traction. So, smart thing to do, electrify entire routes and focus on the densely traffic routes, the Golden Quadrilateral and its diagonals. And you've got 60% of your trains on electric. You'll be amazed, when I became a minister, from Mumbai to the south of India, the entire route didn't even have a double track. Will you believe it? There was a small portion which had single track. Small portion. But 70 years after independence, we had a single track on some parts of the Mumbai to South India route. Pardonable? So in the last 5-6 years, we focused how to ensure that double tracking and then triple or fourth track based on the demand on different routes is given the highest priority. So critical paths have been assessed. I'm sure you have seen the National Rail Plan and it may find mention in your report also. Elementary thing. Railways cannot be run based on political pressures or budgetary announcements, which at one point of time were completely driven by political consideration only. Today, with the merger of the Indian Railways budget with the National Railway, another smart thing to do, we have been able to resist those pressures, those political pressures. Focus on completing long overdue projects. Of course, Uday won't like to hear this, but we have a project which started about 45 years ago in your home state. Only 45 years ago. I've been trying to see if I can revive that project. It's completed in bits and pieces along the route. Probably Padma would have studied it, I don't know. I've spoken about it on other forums also. And now the land which was available with railways is encroached. State government doesn't give us the balanced land to even try to remove encroachment, no support from the state. And I have a project started in 74, I think it was. Cost would have become probably 50x by now. I don't see light at the end of the tunnel when I can complete it. So what's the smart thing to do? I said, give me 100% land you want me to invest in, and I'll invest fast and complete the project in a defined time without cost overrun. I'll give an EPC contract, done and over with. But I need the whole land. So any state wants a project in its territory, give me the full land and I go ahead. Otherwise, I have a pool of capital. I spread it over 500 projects. None of them come to fruition. None of them are completed in time to be able to save cost overruns. None of them start generating revenues. None of them serves the people of India or the businesses of India. Why I'm saying all this to you when you're discussing the future of rail transport is very often elementary things that needs to be done. We do that all the time in our businesses. The Modi government has brought smart to governance, has brought smart to government policies, has brought smart to Indian Railways. And to my mind, all of these efforts are effort to move towards a net zero railway, the first railway in the world which will be a net zero railway. Our target is 2030. But knowing Mr. Modi, he has accepted 2030 now. But I don't know when he will change that target and advance it. Really don't know. It could happen any day when he gets the confidence that he can do it. He's already taken up a 450 gigawatt target going forward for renewables. And so many elementary smart things. Most other departments gradually moved to e-files. Railways took its own sweet time. So I stopped approving any file which didn't come through the computer system. You won't believe how quickly everything became e-files. Because postings, transfers, promotions got stuck. And now all our zones, most of our divisions, our production units, all are completely online. Designs are approved online. You remember that stampede in the Mumbai bridge at Parel? That was my baptism by fire, as Vinayak or somebody had called it. Vinayak is also part of FICCI, or is he CII probably, or whatever. But I remember Vinayak Chatterjee tweeting or calling me up and saying, Piyush, this is your baptism by fire. But I think God does kind of give me a jolt of this kind. I remember when I became power minister, entire Delhi's grid had collapsed on my second or third day as power minister. The Mumbai, just before Dasara, probably in my first month, I had taken over on 3rd or 4th of September 2017. But it helped me really focus my energies on safety. And today we are seeing the fruits of that. I still remember a young officer, a lady officer had told me about this railway wheels being checked through traditional, simple equipment, despite the fact that there was modern equipment available. In that meeting, I think 29th or 30th of September 2017. So people know it. We all of us know what has to be done. But the good news is Prime Minister Modi has ensured adequate funding and adequate budgetary support so that railways can actually do all of this. He has approved public and private partnerships so that we can have large-scale investments to meet our 50 lakh rupee target in the next 10 years through greater engagement with the private sector so that Indian Railways can truly become the instrument of change and the wheels of India's progress will run on Indian Railways, a vision that Prime Minister Modi probably crafted as a young child many years ago when he grew up in the railway stations at Vadnagar. I think that vision or that dream that he had for the Indian Railways, that's the smart Indian Railways that we are all working towards. Thank you very much, Vicky, for all your effort. Thank you very much for your support. Mr. Padma, Mr. Pathak, Mr. Selot, Uday, you personally, Dilip, you have been an unstinted support in all our efforts. May God bless all of you. You and your families stay safe. And I'm sure the economic recovery will be safe, will be strong, will be swift under your leadership. Thank you very much.